Praise the Lord. Amen. I hope you had a wonderful night's rest and that the morning didn't come too early for you. But it was worth getting up. At this time to praise Jesus. Please stand in reverence to God's Word and turn with me to Psalm 27, verse 14. Say amen.
Amen.
You are ready to go. Wait for it. Sounds like you're ready. Psalm 27, 14. Let's read this together. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and He shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Every single one of us are works in progress, aren't we? Amen. Sometimes the hardest thing to wait on is the progress in here. We can wait, we can be patient with other people, our kids, things like that. But when it comes to waiting on ourselves or waiting on the Lord to achieve what His goals for our life, it just seems like it just takes Him forever at a snail's pace. But God's God, and He's preparing you for the service He has. God's good. Are you ready for Sunday school? Yes. Amen. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your blessings. Thank you for this house that we can worship in. Lord, please be with us today. Let us feel your presence. In your wonderful name. Amen. Amen. Dismiss the Sunday school.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you again. Drag on. I'll let you go, please. I'm dragging this one to safety, but where did you go?
You would be in my place.
Does he not look like he's any gentleman today? Are you kidding, Greg? Yeah, I was in class. Oh, I was calling with my I'm trying.
Good morning. That was a delayed reaction from the microphone. It started something, and then you just heard me last morning. So I'll try to get good morning.
Good morning.
All right, that's a little bit better. So this morning, first of all, I guess I should say Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm seeing a whole lot of green. And I'm very glad that I don't see as much green as normal on the pews. Good job for getting here for Sunday school. I'm very excited that you are here. It is wonderful. Let me tell you, it blesses my heart to look through and see people showing up for Sunday school. Because Sunday school, we always say, oh, it's the most important school in the world. It really is. It is where you can communicate back and forth with each other. It's at the appropriate time to ask questions, make comments, learn from each other. So I'm so glad that you guys decided to come to Sunday school today. Today, of course, is March 17th. It is St. Patrick's Day. It is God's Day first. All right? Even St. Patrick would have told you that. And many things, I have to give God some more credit and thanks and appreciation because it was on this day, 16 years ago, that Jimmy was in Iraq the first time and they just declared war. So me and my daughter, who was in a cast because of her Aunt Tanya abusing her, we'll say Sierra, they were playing with her, and you know how them babies, they'll say, swing me, and they want you to swing. Well, they were swinging her, and it popped her elbow out, so she had what they call the nursemaid's elbow. So they popped it back in, but they still casted her from shoulder down to her wrist, and it was just a mess, and the doctor was in there taking the cast off that day, and he's like, little girl, you know what time it is, or what day it is? And I'm like, we don't care about St. Patrick, we only care about Daddy getting home safe, because he's in Iraq right now. And that doctor is still in my mind today, 16 years later, Dr. Menz. He's awesome. Because when he found out he was in the military, he took off like he was on fire. And I'm thinking, well, did I offend him or something? That's usually how people try to get away from me. And I went out there and I looked and I said, okay, we're ready to go. What do I owe you? And she said, ma'am, Doc says you owe nothing, that your husband pays enough. So I very much appreciate people like that. So thank God for people like that. Let's all try to do something like that for somebody else. And it don't have to be something big. It could be something really small, couldn't it? I've started what I've called a personal ministry. I made myself some smiley face cards. They look like business cards. They got little smiley faces on them. And all I type across the top is, God wanted me to bless you today, so I just paid for your meal. And when I go through a drive-thru, I hand the card in to the woman, and I'm like, give this to the person behind me, how much value for their meal. And you know, I got off pretty cheap, like $1.24 a lot of times. I'm like, thank God for value meals, but at the same time, I think the most expensive I ever got to get was $8. And you should see those people try. I don't know these people. I'm good because you know what? God wants me to be nice. And then on the bottom of the card, I said, keep this card, pass it to someone else. Maybe they'll bless somebody too. All right? I just want to know that God loves them. I don't care who it is. God loves them. I've had them pull me over, come to me crying to tell me how I made their entire day. I had one, I didn't realize who it was. It was a kid I had coached in basketball. She come up there just a boo-hooing and everything else. Of course, she was pregnant, so she was probably a little bit hormonal anyhow. And I had people beeping the horn, waving. I mean, it just enlightened their day that somebody paid a big $1.24 so they could have their cappuccino, you know, at McDonald's. But at the same time, little things. You can make a difference, and I feel good doing that. Don't y'all feel good when you do something for somebody else? No, not a soul. All right, let's get to the lesson. Let's learn who Jesus is. Janie, I'm glad somebody finally woke up. Today's lesson, oh my goodness, I'm so excited for this lesson. This is the story of Ruth. Love the story of Ruth. Before we get too far down, if you have your Bible, whether it be in written word or on your technologically inclined device, that means phone, just raise your hand right quick so we can get a quick count. I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Got 11 of us. 11 of us. And if I could bother Jonathan, will you throw that kid over on his mama and come take up my offering? It's not my offering, it's Jesus' offering. But we need to take up our tithes and offering this morning.
You go do it.
All right, come on. Is that Jonathan too?
Yeah.
All right.
We ready to go to their home? You know what
I'm afraid you've scarred him. Hey, hang on, man. Don't take up again. We got a brother. You're going to cover all these people. Now, you stand and you stare at them and smile until they put money in there, okay? Okay, all right. We'll work on that later. Birdie, why don't you pray over this lesson and offering for me?
Dear Heavenly Father, please bless this lesson, bless the language of the word that you have given to our, and please bless this offering to go to the build your kingdom, and bless the people that get it and the people that does not get it, have it to get. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, now go shake him down something. Alan was waiting like he's supposed to. Good job. Hey, he does a fine job. He's hired. Every week I need that one back. All right. Next time, Alan, I'm sending him you twice. I tell you what, that's what we need every time, isn't it, Joe? All right, if you have your Bible, you can turn with me today to Ruth chapter 1. Now, last week, who did we study that last week? What woman? I give you a hint, she's a little harlot. Rahab. She wasn't just a harlot, though. She actually ran an inn, did she not? And by the end of that story, we found out that she was definitely a what? I'll give you a hint. Starts with a B, rhymes with believer. A believer in Christ. Was she a Jewish person? No, not at all. As a matter of fact, she lived in the area of Jericho with the walls. She lived in the wall. But she went on to become what? She married into the Jewish family, right? And we talked last week about how she's in the direct lineage of David, who is also the direct line to Jesus. Well, this week we get the next level on the ladder rung of Jesus' kin. This week we're going to look at Ruth. And Ruth, we all know, well, let's not get there yet. Let's just go ahead and start reading just a little bit, all right? In Ruth chapter 1, verse number 14, Stephanie, do you have that?
And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her.
One of my favorite sermons that Pastor Watts ever preached here, and I'm talking Pastor Jim, is kissers or cleavers. He wants to know, are you a kisser or a cleaver? Because a kisser is just going, and leave. But the cleaver, they're going to hang on, they're going to cleave unto you. And that was his main focus when he taught and preached a sermon about Ruth and Orpah. Now, let's go back and get the full story. You see, Ruth had a mother-in-law named Naomi, and Orpah was who to Ruth? To Ruth, a sister-in-law. Orpah and Ruth married brothers, okay? The brothers were the sons of Naomi. Well, Naomi and her husband, they were going through a time of drought in the area where the Jews were, okay? So they decided they were going to leave Jerusalem, they were going to leave all of that area, and they traveled where, do y'all remember? Close to the land of, just think of where Ruth and Orpah were from. They were Moabite women, so we're talking about the land of Moab, okay? And if you remember Moabites, is that something that a Jewish person looks at and goes, oh, yay, Moabites? No, they do not. They go, oh, Moabites. It's a whole different attitude. So, here are these two girls that these two Jewish boys took to be their wives. And they're both Moabite women, okay? So, what happens? First of all, was the family supposed to leave Israel at all? No. So when they get to where they were going and they set up camp there, the first one to die is the daddy of everybody. And then the next one to die is one of the sons. And then the third one to die is yet another son. So what's left? You've got Naomi the mama, you got Ruth, and you got Orpah, the two daughters-in-law. And understand this, it was needed to have a man because the man was the one to make any prosperity out there. Women were not seen to go work. They were not supposed to do that. And this one is the one I find really weird. If a woman has a son, and that son gets married, and that son dies, you know what that woman's supposed to do? She's supposed to marry the next son. They keep it in the family in a whole new way, all right? But both of this woman's sons died. And she tells the girls, and she's like, listen, y'all just need going back home. I don't have anybody left. I can't help you guys. Just go back to your own houses. Go back to your own mamas. And Orpah looked, and that's where we pick up in verse number 14. They lifted up their voice. Oh, they were so sad. They were leaving Naomi. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. At least she held on. She said, I'm not going nowhere. Now remember, both girls, not Jewish girls. One made the decision, oh, I'll just go back to the house. The other one made the decision, I'm sticking with you, come what may. Let's look at verse number 16. Mom, you have verse 16.
And Ruth said, it entreat me not to leave thee, and to return to the following night for thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God.
Sheila, you have 17.
Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me.
She was pretty much determined, was she not? She was like, no, I'm staying with you. Your people are my people. Okay, where you stay, I'm going to stay. And you know what? Your God is going to be my God. So immediately was she adopted into the family. Absolutely. Jesus came to save those which were lost. Thank God that he was rejected by some. So we heathen people can be adopted into that Jewish family now, and we are now joint heirs of Christ to receive the kingdom, right? So here we have Ruth. She's experiencing that firsthand, is she not? Had Jesus came yet? No, not in physical form. They were still living under the old law, all right? Look at Ruth verse 9, chapter number 2. Naomi says, okay, Ruth, you want to stay, but we got to figure out what in the world we're going to do. Because all we are is a couple chicks sitting around here, and it's not like I'm going to have any more kids. And even if I did have any other sons, you're going to wait until he grows up to get married. You'll be about 60, and he'll be about 15. Probably a little age gap difference there. Yeah. No, it didn't work like that. So Ruth really had to make a serious decision to say, I'm going with you. Ruth had no children. She had nothing to leave. No heritage that's leaving behind her. She's living with her mother-in-law of her dead husband by themselves. And mom-in-law, she's getting up in age too. So Ruth takes it upon herself to try to keep the household going. Let's pick it up in Ruth chapter 2, verse number 9. Brother Joe, would you mind reading me verse 9?
Let thine eyes be on the field, and they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, go unto the vessel, and drink of that which the young men have drawn.
All right, verse number 10. Who can I trouble now? Oh, Rebecca, will you read verse 10?
Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground, and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes, and thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger?
She's talking to a him. Now let me tell you how Naomi, she was a smart chick. Naomi, the mother-in-law, she was smart. Now, mind you, she didn't necessarily do everything she was supposed to do because what did she tell them to change her name to when they went back home? Mara. Because it meant that she had been not blessed, but cursed. She was seeing the whole world. She was like the biggest pessimist alive at the time. She's like, I have nothing. Everybody's dead around me. I've got this young kid who won't leave me. Just call me Mara, because everything is up. You know that song, I've sang it before, maybe you've heard of it. It says, nobody likes me, everybody hates me. It's the song, oh, go eat worms. No? Nobody's ever sang that one before? Well, let me tell you, I have a few times. I've done a few courses of that through my life, where I have to realize I am blessed no matter. It's not easy to always feel blessed, is it? Because sometimes we can't see her blessings. She couldn't see her blessings. Her husband died. Both of her sons died. And now she's got this Moab girl that won't leave her. Do you think she was able to look around and go, "Whoa, I am blessed"? No. Sometimes we don't realize what God has in store. You see, even through death, God has a plan. That's the most difficult thing for us to deal with, is it not? Losing a loved one. That's the most painful thing we usually can think of, is the loss of a loved one. Understand this, we have not truly lost that loved one unless they did not know Jesus. Because if they knew Jesus, honey, they're just waiting on you to get home. That's not easy all the time to say or do, is it? Because what are we? Human. And what do humans have? A whole lot of feelings. And we get down with that stuff, don't we? But if we hold through, hold true, hold on, we will see the blessing God has in store for us. In verse number 9 of chapter 2, by this time, they have gone back to where they came from, where they had property, land, family. And back then, land passed from family member to family member. It wasn't a, let's just go buy, sell, and call Century 21. They didn't have Century 21 or Century 2 or anything else. They had to pass it on. To keep your family name strong, you had to have boys to carry it on. When Naomi looked, she had nothing of her family name that was going to carry on. So she starts thinking, where's the closest kinsman? You see, if brother wasn't around to marry brother's wife after he died, you got to find the next kinsman. It might be, first cousin Joe, or, Uncle Alan. It's going to be something to where it's got to stay in the family. So she found Boaz. Boaz comes into the picture. He is a very wealthy man. He has great fields, prosperity, everything else. And Naomi looks out and she goes, he's kin to us. So she is the one who sent her to that field to reap. Have any of y'all ever had to pick up tobacco leaves? You worked at a tobacco patch? Worst job in it, picking up them stupid leaves. I hated that job. And every time I got it, you know why? Because I was the youngest one there. I had the best back. I was closest to the ground because I was the shortest in the family, and I was still on my first legs. I hated that job. I hated it more than anything else. I hated that job. You could have told me to go and shovel cow manure. I'd be like, okay, as long as I don't have to pick up them leaves. Well, that's what reaping is. You go pick up what's left over. Okay? And that's what they were doing in these fields of either corn or wheat, something that they could thresh, make flour, make something that they can eat, meal, stuff like that, right? So, Ruth, Naomi says, I want you to go over to that field. You see that one? Go over there and reap for a while. Now, I'm going to say, and this is totally guessing, I didn't look up her family portraits, I bet you Ruth was something good to look at. Because out of everybody there, guess who spotted her first? Boaz, the owner of the man. All right? And what does he say in verse 9? Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch you? He's pretty much giving her a run of, take what you want. They're not going to bother you. I'll see to it. Now, that's usually that first step of, I like you. All right? And he also said, if you get thirsty, where should she go? To their vessels to drink. Now, usually the women had to go and get their own water, and they'd have to haul the water for everybody else, right? Not in this case, but I was like, no, honey, you just get that cup right over there. I'll say that for you. You need some ice in that? You see, he liked what he was seeing right there. But I also want you to understand, when you come together with a Christian, how do you know it's Christian? By the way they act, their character. Have you ever just had that feeling? When it stands out to me, I was in some kind of teaching in service. I don't even know what they're trying to teach me now, but I didn't pay attention sometimes in those. But this has been about 15 years ago. And this lady was up there, man, she was just a teaching, and I could not help but like her. I felt a kindred spirit, and I'm like, man, I've got to talk to this woman. And it wasn't nothing to do with education and what she was trying to teach us. She was from 2 or 3 states away from us, had to travel in, and she was talking about her hotel stay along with her teaching of what was, and I'm like, I couldn't help but like her. So after we got a break, I go over and I'm like, listen, I want to talk to you for a little bit. She goes, yeah, what's up? And we started talking stuff, and then we started talking about Jesus. And then we started talking about, I thought we were going to have our own shouting meeting right there. She was a fine Pentecostal from down in Georgia, and we had our own enjoyable in-service right there. We had the in-service for God while everybody else was working with the education. You know, you can feel it, can you not? You know if somebody is right. You know when God is sending you somebody that you can fellowship with, Stephanie. Absolutely. And our light will shine. I believe that was Dr. Sanger. All right. In the gray box. Let me go there. It says, when you focus on being a blessing, God makes sure that you are always blessed in abundance. I wonder what happens if you focus on the negative. What's God going to do if all you do is focus on the negative side? Is He going to pour out them blessings in abundance? If you're highly blessed, you're going to be lifted up, right? Do you think He's going to lift up negativity? Think He's going to lift up running your mouth? Gossiping? No. That's not how God works. He wants you to be a blessing. You could use that same phone that you're using to call or to text or whatever, and instead of running people down, you could build God up, couldn't you? You could edify each other, which means to encourage each other, lift each other up, right? Well, Ruth goes on, she reaps, she gleans, she reaps whatever out of this field. She's starting to bring back bags of stuff to her mother-in-law. So mother-in-law was like, let's take this a step more. I'm telling you, Naomi was sharp. A little bit on the conniving side, but hey, she was sharp. So she looks at him and she goes, okay, now this is what I want you to do. And that brings us to verse number 7 of Ruth chapter 3. Ruth chapter 3, verse 7. Amanda, would you read verse numbers? I know I used the name. Will you read verse 7?
Every Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry. He went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn, and he came softly and uncovered his feet and laid there.
All right, verse number 8. Do I have any volunteers? Anybody just chopping at the bit? Everybody, huh? All right, verse 8 says, and it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread thou therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. Did he know he was kin to her when he was telling the guys to leave her alone and she could drink his water? He had no idea. So she goes in, and this, I had to do a little bit of research and study on this, because it says at midnight. What's this man doing sleeping out on the corn floor at midnight? Well, since he was the owner, they believed in everybody taking their fair share of work. All right? We practiced that yesterday, several of us. We got out here and we walked the 2 miles in front of the church picking up trash. There's a lot of it, wasn't there, Jamie? You know, and Pastor Jim, he's the main one out there. He's like, y'all just get in the car and follow me. I'm gone. And he's like trucking it out through there. Trash bags hanging out of every pocket and everything else, and he's just a-going. If he doesn't set that kind of an example, then what are we supposed to follow? True leadership sets the right example for others to follow. If I never lift a finger to do anything, and I'm the pastor's wife, what's going to teach my ladies? Well, why do we need to do anything? If I never cook anything to bring to a meal, and I never stick around to fellowship, what's that telling my ladies? It doesn't matter, it's not important enough. Do you see what I'm saying? If I never showed up at Sunday school, why should I expect anybody else to show up? Because my example is telling them it don't matter. That's why, as a leader, I need to be the first one to get in there to clean that bathroom. I need to be the first one to get in there to take care of cooking. I should be the first one to get out here to, well, Jimmy made me drive yesterday, but I did get out several times to pick up trash. You know, we got to be willing to set an example for others. What kind of an example are we setting? And that's what Boaz was even doing. He owned all this place. But it didn't talk about his men sleeping in there on the threshing floor. It talks about Boaz was the one sleeping in there. He was protecting what was his. It was time for them to reap. It was time for them to bring in the harvest. He had to be in there to work, and he laid down to sleep there to protect it. I didn't read about any walls around his garden, did you? Therefore, if anybody came waltzing through, they could probably just go, oh, that looks good, I'll take that. So he stays out there to protect it. So here goes Ruth. She uncovers his feet. Right there's a brave woman in herself. But anyway, that's another story. She uncovers his feet, she lays down, and he wakes up scared to death. He probably thought, what in the world is down there? It's not like he could flip on the light switch. A lot of us think, well, why did he ask who she was? He'd seen her in the fields. Honey, it was midnight. How's he going to look at her and go, oh, hey, Ruth, what's up? He's going to look and say, hello? Who's at my feet? And then she tells him, hey, it's just me, Ruth. And I came and I uncovered your feet. Why? You might need to know that you're my closest kinsman and everybody else is dead. So you kind of have an obligation here, bud. And he doesn't seem to worry too much about it. Look at what he does. Let's go over to verse number 10. And he said, blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast showed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning. Inasmuch as thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich. Okay, right there, she didn't follow young men. What do you think young men were probably doing and saying to her as she came through? Remember, my personal opinion is she was a pretty good-looking woman, because he had to tell all the other young men, leave her alone. She probably kind of drew in. Whether poor or rich, he commended her because she just didn't go with any old tomcat here and there, right? She had some discipline about herself. I'm very proud of my daughter. And we don't go out, and, well, I'll tell you guys, but I mean, we don't go out in public and announce it everywhere we go. But my daughter is very proud to say that she has never kissed a boy. I mean, she kissed her daddy, but she's never actually had her first kiss. This waitress at Waffle House, she couldn't believe it. Leah told herself I didn't have anything to do with it. And she's, I don't know why it came up, but Leah looked at her and she goes, I haven't had my first kiss. And that the waitress, I thought she was going to faint. She goes, well, what? Leah's like, I haven't had my first kiss. She goes, how old are you? She goes, and that's right before she turned 17. She said, I'm about to turn 17. She goes, and you're telling me the truth? She first thought my daughter was a liar. Apparently, she first thought she was just out there kissing anything coming and going. But Leah's like, I'm not going to. Until I know it's the right person. Why do that? You see, a lot of times we confuse love with sex. That's not the same. Okay? And these outward affectionate things, that don't mean somebody loves you. You can have 15 kids with them, they'll look at you and say, bye, and go. Understand, we want commitment like they were looking for commitment. Ruth, she was committed. She clave unto her mother-in-law, which was a representation of us cleaving to Jesus and His Word. Verse number 11, and now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. Stephanie, how do you think they knew she was virtuous? By the way she acted. It's pretty easy to tell that character, isn't it, Jamie? People will know. You know that saying in the Bible, be sure your sins, what are they going to do? Oh, they'll find you out. Oh, there's somebody out there they already know. And you know who knows if nobody else does? Jesus. Okay? You know that omnipresent thing? That means He's like everywhere. Yeah, and the omnipotent, that means He's like all powerful. Oh, and my favorite, omniscient. What's that mean? He knows it all already. So don't think you can hide from Him. You might can hide from your mama. You can't hide from my Jesus. Verse number 12, and now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit, no, I just hate that howbeit every once in a while. Howbeit, there is a kinsman nearer than I. Boaz is like, listen, I'm kin to you. But I'm only like your second cousin. There's this other dude who's like your first cousin. He's got dibs first. All right, that's the Stellania Bible translation. If y'all didn't know, I do that for free. All right, number 13. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down until morning. And she lay at his feet until the morning. Oh, did she move when he invited her to stay? Does it say, and she snuggled up next to his back, and she curled up right in front of his chest. He put his loving arms around her. No, honey, she stayed at his feet. Like a good girl should have, right? It's not easy to do all this, is it? You think it was real easy for her just to lay there? She probably didn't sleep another week. First of all, she's at his feet. Second of all, she is wondering what's going to happen. Any of y'all lay awake at night because you just wonder what's going to happen next? I do. Sometimes. Anyway, verse number 14. And she lay at his feet until the morning. And she rose up before one could know another. What does that mean on time? Before one could know another. Before the sun came up. It was still what outside? It was still dark outside. Because, and he said, let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. A woman wasn't supposed to be in there with him. That was against the law. And if you go back to the Old Testament over in Deuteronomy and Leviticus daughter-in-laws, she could have been stoned to death for being there. Okay? Well, we don't need that, so she snuck out while it was still dark. And I believe over in Proverbs, when you're talking about that virtuous woman, she's supposed to be up and going before daylight. I know, it's painful. It's painful. Look with me at Ruth chapter 4. Boaz goes, he finds this other cousin / whatever, kinsman, and he explains to him the situation. But notice what verse number 9 says. And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, he must have had a crowd with him, you think? Well, gosh, I wonder why. Ye are, what's that next word? Witnesses this day that I have brought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Naomi the mama was the only one left. She was the one with the senior leadership. Therefore, she owned everything that Elimelech had owned, right? They all had, like I said, that property had stayed in the family. So when she found this kinsman to marry a daughter-in-law of hers, guess what he got? He got all the property that came with it, and she agreed to it. Notice, who did he get it from? The hand of whom? Naomi. It wasn't Ruth, it was Naomi. Number 10, moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren. And from the gate of his place ye are witnesses this day. Right here is where I want to say, guess who Boaz's mama was? I'll give you a hint, learned about her last week. Rahab. Rahab the harlot married into the Jewish faith. She demonstrated her faith in knowing who Jesus or who God was when the spies came in and the lies went out. I say that because the spies hid and she lied to cover them. She went on, she married in, and they had a son, and his name was Boaz. And now we got Boaz, he's raised up. He owns a lot of stuff. And who does he go and find? Ruth, who began as a what? A Moabitess. I mean, these are the people, when the Jews come around, if they could cut it physically, they'd be like, ooh, I'm touching that. You ever seen people that you want to respond like that to, but you're not supposed to because you're Christian, you're supposed to be nice and loving, but you're still on the inside, you're like, don't touch me, and you might have something wrong. Anyway, hey, Jack's need to get rid of it. I know some of you people have heard that same stuff. But anyway, so here we have Rahab the harlot brought into the family. Now we've got Ruth the Moabitess brought to the family. Let's read verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception. She bare a son. Oh, I just can't wait. Let's go to verse number 14. And the women said unto Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. They're not referring to the kinsman being famous. They're talking about the Lord being famous, okay? Then, verse 15. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher better to thee than 7 sons. And a nourisher of thine old age, for thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child, and I love this. The build-up is great. And laid it in her bosom, and became nurse unto it. And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse. Jesse is the father of whom, Jesse? Who did Jesse have? David had a son named David. Jesse had a son named David, who went on to be what? If not the greatest, one of the greatest kings of Israel. And if you count from David, King David, down to Jesus, you've got 14 generations of straight lineage that goes to Jesus. So let's go back and review. after I read your golden text. The women said unto Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. That's Ruth, chapter 4, verse 14. We started with Rahab the harlot. She believes in God. She's brought into the family. She has a kid named Boaz. Boaz picks up a new kinsman that he needs to marry to take care of all the rest of the family. She happens to be a Moabitess that stuck with her mother-in-law, Naomi. She goes on. They have a boy. They name him Obed. Obed goes on having a son, and his name's Jesse. Jesse goes on has a son. His name's David. That's 5 generations right there. That means Rahab the harlot was great-great-grandma to King David. That means Ruth the Moabitess was great-grandma to King David. Do you all see it? Is that not wonderful? It doesn't matter where you come from. It only matters where you're going to. Oh, you know what? There's another side to the story. You remember Orpah? Is that what you wanted me to? Okay, I thought so.